On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are down Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, but almost get a win against the Memphis Grizzlies. What happened late? And can Josh Green and Jaden Hardy do more? Answer that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On Mavs your first listen each and every day and every post game. We are free and available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let me know. What's one thing you liked? Let's go positive this time. One thing you liked about Josh Green or Jaden Hardy or another Maverick. Let me know in the comment section below. Isaac Harris out tonight. We do the flipping flopping solos on the weekends. And the Dallas Mavericks, without Luka Doncic, without Kyrie Irving, almost get a win. Have a chance to get a win against the Memphis Grizzlies team that, was without Ja Morant. No Brandon Clark, no Steven Adams, but still an all-star in Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane, who is, a most improved player and was flirting with an all-star berth at certain times. Really good player. Dylan Brooks, like letting his mouth go against anybody, like running his mouth against anybody that gets close to him, Luka included. Luka was catching strays before this game, even though Luka didn't even play because of an injury. Dylan Brooks is poking at Luka saying, hey, that just proves he can't play in this physicality. And you're like, what are you talking about? Dylan Brooks, I don't know what's going on with your man, but yeah. He did have a couple of deflections late that helped this team win, but he's barking up a lot of trees recently. But let's talk about this team, because the Mavericks almost get a win, and you don't look at it as, okay, well, are there moral victories in the NBA? Are there not moral victories? Blah, blah, blah. This team went in there totally shorthanded, and a roster that a lot of people would say, this roster without Luka and Kyrie, it's so trash. It's so trash that there's nobody good outside of them. Okay, well, if that's true, then this win should feel good. But from what I'm seeing and reading and everything, people are like, oh, how could they not have won this game? Blah, blah, blah. That seems to be ridiculous to me. Now, the reason why they didn't get this win, the reason why it came down to the end, was the Dallas Mavericks played a really, really good game. They played a really, really good game all up until the last little bit. And they especially played really, really good in that third quarter. Let's talk about that third quarter real quick, because the Mavs just played really well in that quarter. The Mavs went out, had 0 turnovers in the third quarter. That's a big number that's going to keep coming back. They hit 5 of their 11 threes in that third quarter. They got 6 fast break points, which is big for them. 6 points off of turnovers from Memphis. Memphis turned it over 4 times. That's a big thing for them. And they had 7 assists. 7 assists, 13 made baskets. They were moving the ball around. They were getting stuff going. Tim Hardaway Jr. got hot. He scored 13 in that third quarter. And then the Memphis Grizzlies just didn't have anybody. Nobody else besides Santi Aldama hit more than 1 field goal. They just went totally cold. This Memphis Grizzlies team can be beat in a lot of ways, and one of them is they're one of the worst half-court offense teams in the NBA. The Mavericks are the best. Now, that's including Luka. Luka did not play in this game, so you can't really count that. And the Grizzlies, without Steven Adams, who really helps them in the offensive rebounds, setting screens, putback department, and Ja Morant, who helps them in the driving and kick and all that kind of game department. They were without those two guys, and they couldn't score in the half court to save their life at times in this game, even against the Dallas Mavericks team that has not played great defense. But the Mavericks put the clamps on them in the third quarter a little bit, really slowed down some of their offense. They just couldn't really get anything going, forced some turnovers, tied 13-13 rebounds in that third quarter, and the Mavericks still won that quarter 33-21. That was a huge quarter for the Mavericks. You saw a bunch of runs going. Tim Hardaway, like you said, got hot and kind of turned into a different player. He was like driving and pulling up and hitting some pull-up shots and all kinds of stuff in there. He's getting fouled and hitting some free throws. Josh Green hit a pull-up 3 in that quarter. Jaden Hardy had an ISO on Dylan Brooks with the stop, the pull-up in mid-range. Like, just a great play. You had some really confident basketball that was being played in that quarter. And at the very end, Jaden Hardy had a fast break with no one in front of him, but the time ran out and he just couldn't get the right shot up because it was an awkward spot on the floor that he was in and just couldn't get the layup all the way because time ran out. They could have scored more in that quarter. But they played really well in that quarter, and then it came down to the fourth. And when it came down to the fourth, the Mavericks defense fell apart in a way because this Mavericks defense is all about, no matter who's in the game, no matter if Luka's playing, Kyrie's playing, whoever. This defense is all about rotating, finding the right switches, making sure that this team is helping in the right spots, sending help in the right spots, and they're going to have to help off of somebody. It happened in the Suns game. They helped off of Josh Okogie a bunch, and he went 0 for 8 from 3. Then they helped off of Ish Wainwright, who's was the worst shooter on the floor at that point, and he hit like 3 or 4 threes in that fourth quarter, and then they lost. But that's the guy you want to help off of. Now, in this game, they help off of David Roddy, and they helped off of him a bunch, and he hit, and David Roddy ended up hitting, what did he hit in the fourth quarter? 7 of 8 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, just in the fourth quarter. 17 points from David Roddy in the fourth quarter. And I've seen some takes already. How could Jason Kidd let that happen? Blah, blah, blah. How is that possible that this happened? And you guys, if you listen to this show, you know that I've given some Jason Kidd criticism. I mean, I asked the question that came to this. This has become like a meme now.
I'm not playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
I have criticized Jason Kidd, but Roddy is the player you want to help off of. That is by design, and that's the player you want to. Maxey helped off of him to stop Bane from a drive. Tim Hardaway helped off of him to stop Bane from getting into the paint and to try and show him players in the paint. You had, two times Tim Hardaway helped one player over, and then Dylan Brooks set a really good back screen on Jaden Hardy, who was actually on Roddy, and then Roddy got an open 3. Like, you want to help off of Roddy. Roddy's 28% from 3 for the season. He hasn't hit more than 3 threes in any game this season, and he's only scored 15 points in a single game. Like, that's his season high this season. That's the player you want to help off of. So the defense just helped off of the guy that they should have. He misses a couple of those. This is a different game, and he hits his average for the season, and it's a different game. Now we can parse back and forth between, well, but he's getting wide open shots, and yeah, like at a certain point. But at a certain point, you're in the NBA. Like, who would you rather them help off of? Because they have to. The defense is not good enough to just hold their own 5 for 5 across the board. It's not. Like, you can't complain about how bad the roster is, how bad the defense is, and then be like, well, how are they helping off of somebody? They have to. Like, they have to send help over because guys are getting beat off the dribble, or offensive players are just good in the NBA now. They're able to do this stuff. You can't just stand it. How many times does Luka or Josh Green or somebody get a foul for just standing in front of somebody on defense now? Like, you can't just stand in front of them and let them run into you, because that's a blocking foul. Or try to shuffle and move your hips and get in front of them. That's a foul. So you have to send help in the NBA. It just has to. This is why Luka gets doubled so often, because you have to send help. So they just commit real early to it. The Mavericks weren't committing super early to it. They were just showing help instead of sending help. So they were showing help, and then they're showing help off of David Roddy. And David Roddy hit his shots, and that's basically what it came down to. And so that's the player you would want to help off of. But then on the other side, so then you're like, okay, well, that's what happened on defense. On offense, the thing that happened on offense, and they scored 25 points in the fourth quarter, 3 of 9 from 3, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, so they stopped getting the free throw line as much. 8 fouls in that quarter, which is really brutal for the Mavericks in that one. But on offense, what it came down to is 3 turnovers in a row. 1 minute 44, 1 minute 20, 1 minute 14. You had the Hardy drive and turnover, off the baseline. He wanted a challenge on it. He didn't get it. I don't think he would have gotten it. I only saw the replay like 1 or 2 times, but I don't think he would have gotten it. Then you had the Hardy drive and kick, and he tried to throw it to Bullock, but Bullock wasn't in the right window, or Josh Green or Jaden Hardy threw it to the wrong window. Threw it right between Bullock and Josh Green. Just a young player that's inexperienced, only played like 380 minutes this season. That's a young player making a young player mistake. And he threw it away. That was another turnover. And then actually the last turnover was at 42 seconds. The deflection, so you get the Dylan Brooks deflection off of the inbounds. The Mavericks get the ball again. Then you inbound again, and it's just a turnover. Just a bad turnover. That was a Reggie Bullock pass. So you get 2 young player turnovers and a Reggie Bullock turnover late, and that's the game. Like that's how they ended this game at the end there. And so coming up, let's talk about Josh Green and Jaden Hardy because they had great games. There's some positive things to take out of this game, but let's talk about what they can do and how could they do more on this Mavericks team because every time Luka sits, we're seeing these guys. So let's talk about that coming up. All right, Isaac, thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen, hanging out with us, being part of this show. Every time you guys listen, especially after losses, I consider you guys part of the Raccoon Squad, part of the show. We appreciate you. So talk about some of the good because the bad we've already talked about. The defense in the fourth quarter, they helped off of Roddy. He hit a bunch of shots. The turnovers late in this game were just brutal. The Mavericks played almost a perfect game, like not turning the ball over for the guys that were handling the ball. In Jaden Hardy, a rookie, who is turnover prone himself, Josh Green, Tim Hardaway, these are the guys. Like McKinley Wright, also young player, second year, two-way guy. Like those are the guys handling the ball. The Mavericks didn't turn over the ball a lot. They had 11 turnovers. 3 of them were late in the game to give up the game. So they were playing the game perfectly at that point. Missed some free throws. Another young player mistake. Jaden Hardy, 1 of 4 from the free throw line. Tim Hardaway missed a couple. But the good in this game, Jaden Hardy stepping up. 9 of 21 from the field. Not a great field goal percentage, but he's fearless, man. He got blocked a couple times by Jaren Jackson. He didn't care. He's like, I'm going back. I'm going back into the paint. That's not going to deter me at all. 22 points, 3 assists, hit a couple of just tough threes, and just hit some. With 2 minutes left, he hit that ISO step back 3 against Desmond Bane that they reviewed to see if it was a 2 or a 3. That is such a gutsy play. Like, just shows one of the reasons why I'm just so excited for Jaden Hardy and to see him going forward. And was glad the Mavericks didn't trade him away and hoping to see what he can be in the future because I'm excited about what Jaden Hardy can be.
Hardy, let's go party.
Let's go. All right, let's go.
I love the laugh in that. The laugh in that is amazing. That's from our media day interview with him. But you have Jaden Hardy that steps up, is getting DNP CDs, not playing, and he just goes into this game and is like, I don't care. I'm a scorer. I can get buckets. You put me in there for 15 minutes, I'm going to get 15 points. That's like his whole mentality. You got to love it. I thought he had a really good game. Again, didn't have the most efficient game, but he was asked to do a lot. He was asked to be the main ball handler against the Grizzlies that are really like the second best defense in the NBA. I don't care if Steven Adams is out. They still had all their guys out there. And one of the best things I saw in this game was that Dylan Brooks switched over. I think he was guarding Hardaway to start the game. Switched over to guard Jaden Hardy. That's respect right there. Their best perimeter defender saying, okay, we got to change things up. Hardy's beating us early. We got to go put it on him, the rookie. However, I'll go down this road here for a second. This is one of the games where you just wish Jaden Hardy got to make some of these mistakes 3 months ago, 2 months ago, instead of now. Because if he had gotten some more experience a little early, I talked about this back in December, back in January even. If he had gotten some more run early and gotten some more of that, then maybe he'd be a little bit more ready for these moments and not have those 2 turnovers late. Like you look at some of his splits this year with Jaden Hardy, and he was in the G League for a couple months, and then in January he did play 12 games. He played 151 minutes in 12 games. That's not a lot. That's like 12 minutes a game. February they played him in 9 games, played him about 16 minutes a game. Better, but still not like a lot of games. 9 games. Before that, December he played 8 games, November 1, October 2. Like he's just not playing. He's not playing any consistent minutes at all. So there was no developing of him early to where he could get some of these mistakes out of his system. He's already a mistake-prone player, just the way that he is. He can be reckless with the ball at times. He drives into traffic and falls down. I've talked about that a bunch of times, but he did show some great poise in this game. It's just those end of the game 2 drives in a row with a bad turnover that you wish he could have gotten out of his system, gotten a better rhythm with the other guys. Like that last turnover that he had, he drives in the lane and he has a great window to kick out to 2 shooters, to Josh Green or to Reggie Bullock. and he just passes it right between the two guys. That is all right there about like synergy, chemistry, like knowing where guys are going to be and all that kind of stuff. Like that stuff you work out months ago. But Jaden Hardy hasn't had a chance to, and he hasn't played in a while. So like that's what it comes down to, and I wish that they would have done that earlier. I've been saying that all year, because if the Mavericks weren't going to add a third ball handler, then they weren't going to add a third ball handler, then they had to just give Jaden Hardy some. If they were betting on Jaden Hardy, they had to give him some more minutes early, and so you're reaping some of that. Although he still did look good. Like he's a rookie. He's a rookie playing on a team that expects to win, for a coach that has standards, high standards. I don't know what to call those standards, but he's got them. He's quick with the leash. I'll say that for certain players, not for veteran players, but for certain players. But I guess JaVale McGee he was. Josh Green, 9 of 16 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3. He had 21 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, couple of turnovers, bunch of fouls, but he played a great game. I mean, Josh Green, this is the game you want to see when we've been talking about for a couple weeks now. Josh Green just doesn't look the same. Right after the trade, the Mavericks were talking big about Josh Green and saying, okay, he's going to step in and he's going to be the one to replace Dorian. We're excited to see where he can go. And then all of a sudden his minutes kind of go down and he just wasn't playing as well. And then you're like, dang. Maybe it was just a young player wall, but this is the type of bounce back game you want to see. He gets a lot of opportunity. No Luka, no Kyrie. Gets a lot of opportunity. Has the ball in his hands. And then he's doing that stuff that we saw a couple weeks ago. Drive in the paint. Hit a pull-up. Hit a runner. Hit a couple of threes. One of those threes actually he took was a pull-up three late to try and get the game, within one, which was maybe an ill-advised three, but that was a super late three, so I don't even know if I count that one. Like hitting, taking shots confidently. Hitting runners, doing this kind of stuff that we've seen from Josh Green, and then going on the other end and playing defense. Great game from him. And so my question is, can they ask for more? Can Josh Green and Jaden Hardy do more? Josh Green, definitely. He has to. They need him to do more. They need him to start. They need him to be good. They need him to give that extra ball handler, ball movement, that kind of stuff. Maybe not start. They need him to play 30 minutes is I guess what I'm more so saying. They need that from him. They need this kind of confidence, because if it's just one of Luka or Kyrie on the court, they need that Josh Green drive, and he's got the third best defender on him of the team, and he can go in and he can get a shot pretty easily off the dribble if he can. Just saw some really good plays from Josh Green. Jaden Hardy is the one that, I don't know. I think this is his role. I think that if Luka or Kyrie are down, he's going to get minutes. If they're both playing, then he's not. I don't know. I can't make decisions on Jason Kidd's defense, and we can ask Jason Kidd about rotations and all that, but
I don't always tell you guys the truth.
But so with Jaden Hardy, I think this is just his role at this point. I'm not going to do the Christian Wood thing today. If you've listened to this show, and I know you have, then you know where we stand at this point about Christian Wood. I also was thinking, hey, in a game like this, why would you not just start him and at least play through him or like use him out there as a shooter, like in this kind of game? But the Mavericks wanted to go with one big. Jason Kidd apparently, doesn't trust him for whatever reason. So I'm not going to do the Christian Wood thing. It's just not going to happen. He played 15 minutes in this game. He plays 15 minutes when Luka and Kyrie are healthy. So it is what it is at this point. There's no making sense. There's no making sense of it at this point. They're just not going to try him. So, and that is what it is. Can't just all be on the court stuff. I don't think his on the court stuff has been this bad to where if they're this shorthanded that he gets this amount of minutes, right? Like that. Those things don't make sense. So when everybody's healthy, different. But when guys are down like this and he still doesn't play, that tells me that there's just something else, right? Like. And so you probably have Christian Wood just sitting on the end of the bench in these moments going,
It's great. It's great, dude. Dude, it's great. It's great. It's great, broski. Bro, name it. It's great. It's great. It's great, bro. It's great. It's great. It's great. This life's great, bro. I have no complaints. I don't.
But Josh Green and Jaden Hardy, loved what I saw from them. Just great. It's great.
It's great.
Just great fight from them and from everybody. Like Tim Hardaway, Bullock, Dwight Powell, Maxey coming back has been such a godsend. You can see it in defensive possessions when he chases a guard down and he can go straight up at the rim, not foul. Maybe the guard makes it. It's a super tough shot if they do. And sometimes they make it, but sometimes they don't. And then when they don't, it's like, man, Mavs finally got to stop and got to stop at the rim. It's great seeing Maxey back. What did he have? He had 4 points, but he had 8 boards, 4 assists. He's a big difference maker. And the Mavericks wanted to go one big. They tried Maxey and Wood a little bit together. And Christian Wood scored 14 points there. He had 10 points in the first half, I thought. I thought he was better in the first half than his minutes the second half. But he didn't play a lot in the second half. He got pulled real quick in the second half. And that's how you can just tell there's something with him and kid. And that's the game, basically. Good stuff from Jaden Hardy. Good stuff from Josh Green. The team almost came up with it. I can't feel bad about this game. I'm not walking away feeling like I did against the Lakers loss or the Pacers loss. I mean, Luka and Kyrie didn't play. You just can't make big sweeping judgments about this team in a game like this. You can look at the guys that played well and say, okay, can we get more from Hardy? Can we get more from Green? Is there something more Tim Hardaway can do? I don't know. but that is what it is. We'll be back on Sunday breaking down the Mavericks more. And then, of course, throughout the rest of this week. So hang out with us. We appreciate you guys. And guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.